Howdy, this is Judas ASMR, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something that is a little bit important to me, and I know that it's something that affects a lot of different people. If you've been around for a long time, I used to make videos about like different emotions. Like I did a video on anger once, and I think that I talked about just like general mental health at one point. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't know like how long that series lasted, but I kind of wanted to get back into that, right? Because I think that is something that affects a lot of different people. The one that I did on anger was a lot more like psychology and like science based. And it's not that I don't want to do that, because I enjoyed talking about it from a psychological standpoint. But I think this first video, I want to just talk about like my personal life with these things, right? Because I think it's so unique to everybody. And I don't know, I just like, being able to show like my true self to people, because it's something that I felt like I haven't been able to do for a lot of my life, right? So with me personally, I have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. These are things that I've dealt with for a certain portion of my life, right? And I think one of the biggest issues I first ran into is running into people who don't believe in mental health. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. If you deal with some of these mental conditions, I'm sure that you have run into people who have tried to convince you that they're not real. Okay? Here's the first thing. It is real. It is real. No matter how much it feels like it's just in your head, if it feels real to you, like that makes it real, right? Because let's play like a fun game, right? Let's say that, let's say this weird mystery world, it was just this made up thing that didn't actually like apply to anything. Well, regardless of if it's literally happening up here or not, it's still something that affects your life, right? So let's say that you have anxiety about something, even if it's not technically like anything wrong with your head or anything wrong with your brain, that's still something that affects the way that you live life every day. And that's what makes it so real, because it's something that affects you. And I feel like the mindset that especially comes from the older generation of it like not existing is definitely something that just does more harm than good. So whatever you're going through, the hundreds of things that could be going on with mental health, just know that it is real. Yes, you're not making it up, right? And I also want to talk about like what my journey looked like. I guess I'm not going to go too crazy into detail, but I'm going to talk about it just a little bit. So I had a lot of times where, because my depression was so bad or my anxiety was so high that I would just like break down, right? And just like be crying or, be extremely frustrated. Something that affected me so strongly, which was so upsetting because, there were times where I did think, well, is any of this even real? Like, why do I feel this way? And I've had panic attacks and things like that. And it's also scary, to feel like there are things happening in your mind that you don't have full control over. That's something that makes me always think about it and be like, geez, like what is this? What's going on? You know what I mean? And, as I got older and older, I think I started to take more time and give myself more grace of, really looking inside of myself like self-reflection, things like that. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that could really possibly help people, right? I think different things are going to work for different people, but that was something that really helped me. And everybody's mental health is going to manifest in different ways. And some people may really benefit from therapy. And that's another thing about dealing with regular folks who maybe don't have mental health issues or just don't understand it, is you will often hear therapy thrown around as more of an insult. And it was a big reason why I kind of ignored therapy for a long time, because the only time I heard it was when people were insulting me. Maybe some of you guys can relate to that. And so, I stayed away from it for a long time because, it was shown to me to be something that you only do when something's wrong with you or something. And, after my first really big panic attack, that's what just made me decide to want to try some therapy and see if it works for me. I did it for maybe 6 months or so. And it was an eye-opening experience. I also do sadly think at the end of that journey that therapy maybe wasn't, what I really needed. And the only way to find that out is by trying, right? Some people may need, actual medication. Maybe, the chemicals that are getting all funky in their brain are so out there that medication is the best thing for them. There are so many different things that may help you personally that may not help somebody else. And I think that's kind of where a lot of that self-reflection comes from that I was kind of mentioning, is that you have to take your own personal experience and slowly figure out what works for you, right? Because there's going to be different things for different people. But the only way to find that out is to start taking those steps and trying those different methods, and taking it slow, not feeling like you have to rush, or not feeling like, oh, if these few things don't work for me, that means I'm doomed. No, you're not doomed. We can figure this out, right? Even for some people, sometimes something as simple as just journaling is really great for them. Sometimes something as simple as maybe working on your diet and the things that you're eating can work for you. I've seen that work for some people. Some people just want community. Some people just want a community of individuals that they can work through the things they're going through together with somebody. So there's millions of things out there that can affect mental health, and the things that you go through. And I just think it's so important to, take that time to slowly find that thing. And then when you find that thing, you can slowly prick it out. And that's another thing about mental health, is that, there's no such thing as healing mental health. That's something that used to bother me a lot when I was younger. Mental health very rarely just goes away. I think in a way, mental health issues are something that become a part of you. And I think the only healthy action is to just learn healthy coping mechanisms, learn healthy ways to live with those things and be able to continue to grow and be healthy and take care of yourself. So there is a such thing as healthy growth, and healthy coping mechanisms when it comes to these things. And that's kind of where you want to put a lot of your energy and effort, because it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be part of you. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a super corny line, but they say like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And as corny as it sounds, it is kind of true. And so I think it's really important to remember that. Remember that everything you go through, all the crappiest things that you wonder, like, why did that happen to me? There are always things to learn from. There are always things to grow from. There are always things to take into your life and become even better of a person than you've ever been, right? And so it's just really, I don't know, I guess mental health is something that I am really passionate about because of my journey with it. And I know that it's something that affects so many people out there who are ignored or who are, not believed, just because of how the different generations think about mental health. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on here. How long are we? Okay, we're about 11 minutes. That's fine. We can do like a 10-minute video. I just want to come on here and talk about that a little bit. So, yeah, guys, it's been Judas ASMR, and I will see you later. I forgot that I was getting farther away from the mic. I'll see you later.